So we have Terrelle Walker, and Terrell is an absolute stud. Like he started here at the end of 2021, right in October 2021. So he's been here for like 2 years and about 3 or 4 months. So not even that long. His first year ranks as the number six out of all the agents that's ever been hired here at Family Heritage. In their first year, he's number six top first year of all time with over 481,854 of NAP protected that first year. What a stud of a first year. Last year, he got up on stage just it was about a month ago to earn the market director of the year. So that is huge. He was the market director of the year for 2023, and now he's a regional director. And he's got one of the fastest growing agencies in the entire company. His agency is called Ignite Financial. And the crazy thing is, he's done this in 3 different states. So when he first started here, he was working in Minnesota, and then he moved to Indianapolis, and he just moved to Wisconsin. So he's built his agency all over the country, right? Not just one area. And he just had his first son, 6 month old, and I actually got to see his son. He brought it to the Q3 incentive trip, which was awesome. So, and yeah, he's got a growing family, and he's one of the top fast growth agency builders in the entire nation. He's got a transparent financial. Okay, so he's going to talk today, guys, about just how to be a top performer, just the right mindset, and how to crush I dare you, and anything else that Terrell wants to talk about.
I told him not to do that. He asked me for my brag sheet. I did not send it to him. I don't know where you got them numbers. Must be lying. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, guys? Always good to see people in their car on the way to territory. I think it was Josiah. Appreciate that. Leading from the front. So I usually always do these calls for my car, but it's 7 a.m. So still kind of finishing my morning routine. So it's actually really nice. It's funny because I had to do a call for 201 the other week, and Craig's like, "Are you going to be in your car or your office?" I was like, "I can be in my office if you want me to, Craig." But yeah, I just want to talk about just kind of the mindset that you should have as being a top performer. Our job is really simple. It's just not easy, right? We all get that. There's a lot of ups and downs. I always tell all my agents, this career is like an ocean, right? You never let your highs get too high. You never let your lows get too low. You just got to, keep it steady and go with the motions. And so I think the number one thing that I took seriously when I came to this career was being able to buy into the system and buy into our product and buy into our people. And so the number one thing that I took serious was that systems don't fail, people do. And I don't want to be the reason that I'm going to fail in this career. And so looking at where I'm coming from, I was several years in the hotel industry, no sales experience, right? But I had great customer service experience, dealing with people, dealing with, employees and guests every single day. And so I knew that in order for me to be successful here, I needed to buy into everything that Justin has in Family Heritage, right? So from day one, you should really have the mentality of there's just no other option. Like come hell or high water, this has got to work. You should not have a backup plan. You shouldn't, right? And if you do, why? Right? Like, why are you not fully committed to something that could be life-changing, not only for you, your family, but people around you, right? So what a couple of examples of buying into this looks like, and what it looked like for me, is letting the people closest to you know your expectations and your goals from day one. So, I started with my spouse, and I said, "Hey, we just both quit our corporate America jobs. We both were making, I was making 90,000 at the time. She was making about 80,000. She was an accountant. We had been bought our house right out of college. in South Dakota. Had a house, been house owners for 5 years, and we sold our house within 1 day, and got an all cash offer. 1 day, and then we were moving to Minneapolis. Or as soon as I said yes to Laura Estenson, right? We didn't even have a house picked out. We just packed up and moved into her brother's house, into the attic with 2 dogs. They had a newborn, and this house was pretty old. The wood, the floors always creaked. And so my mornings, my first 90 days, I would have to get up at like 5 a.m., get ready for the day, walk downstairs as quiet as possible and get out the door so I could start my morning routine, do my homework and everything that goes along with getting in the right mindset to start my day. And then at night, I have to go look at houses with my wife, girlfriend at the time. So back to having a conversation with your spouse, say, hey, my first year, I'm going to do everything it takes to be successful in this career. So train mores, you got to go to those. You know, the saying we have is, you know, train mores are highly recommended. They're not mandatory, right? But I heard this one of the first weeks of my career is that it's not a sacrifice, it's an investment into your business and into yourself. And so I told my wife, like, I'm going to be train more automatic. I'm going to go to every single train more, right? You have the same conversation with your family, right? Hey guys, I need you to understand this is completely new. And there's certain ways to talk about, you know, how I'm doing, and money is not one of those, right? With your friends, let them know your goals so that you are holding yourself accountable to what you're telling your people, right? A few other things, you got to put your ego aside and you got to put your experience aside. I had a great conversation with Nikki in Dallas, Texas, and I've been trying to field recruit my best friend. And, you know, she got to have a conversation with him, and she learned that he's really more scared and afraid because this business puts you in a spotlight, right? It's you and you only. We do have leaders, we do have resources, we do have people that here and want to help you win and will train and develop you, but it's sales. It's going out into the field, right? And you're either going to succeed or you're going to fail. So as long as you can put your ego and experience aside and become the perfect rookie, right, and the perfect sponge to learn everything, you know, I learned from the top producers and I learned from the bottom feeders, right? Everything is valuable in this business because you're either going to learn what to do or you're going to learn what not to do. It's still great for yourself and your business, right? Put trust into your leaders, trust into the process, and just trust yourself. Like, know that you are supposed to be here. Like, you would not have gotten hired if you were not supposed to be here. Not a lot of people say yes to 100% commission, right? No leads, right? It's a scary thought, right? And always know what you're working for and chase that forever. You got to chase it every day. You got to chase it every week. You got to chase it every year, right? So number one is buying in. Top performers, right? Mindset and expectations, okay? Number two is just enjoy the suck and learn how to skill up. It's really simple, right? You're either growing or you're dying in this business, right? We've all heard that before, right? Every morning, I ask myself, what does my business need from me today, right? If you can teach yourself how to push through the tough times, you're going to do very well here, and you're going to be a duplicatable person because it's really easy to be in a good mood, jump in the car, get up early, get your workout in, eat right, eat healthy for the week that you have enrollment set up, for the week that you have appointments set up, and all this momentum. What's not easy is to wake up and have that same motivation. And we don't use motivation, we use conviction. Motivation is temporary, right? If you have that same consistency and that same conviction, knowing that we help out people, like, go read a claim One just came in from Cajun Lob out of Utah, $138,000. 30 days after the waiting period, my son was diagnosed with leukemia. Like, if you don't understand what we're doing, you're not reading enough claims, right? But teaching yourself how to wake up and look at a text from a client that canceled, or your appointment or enrollment that canceled, and being able to just go out and put a smile on people's face, that's when your business is going to take off. Because all the other stuff's easy to do. You got to do it when it's hard. And you got to do it when it's hard so you can teach your other people under you how to work through that and let them know you've been through there and what you did to get through that, right? So it's positive affirmations. I've never done that in my life, but my first 6 months, I would be on the road listening to this podcast of this lady tell me how awesome I am, like talking to yourself in the mirror. Okay. And then another one is just like just making sure that you learn from your failures, because everybody will fail. For an example, I've gotten kicked out of businesses. I've said the wrong thing to people, right? I've compared myself to a lot of people in this business. I used to call David Chessmore for every day for the first, 60 to 90 days. Occasionally, me and him went to school together. This guy's doing 16K a week. I'm over here doing like 8K barely. And I had no idea, what I was doing wrong. Our situations were just different, right? He was working at a town he's lived in for years. I'm working, the Minneapolis metropolitan area. And so comparison is the thief of all joy. And once I figured that out, I stopped comparing myself to Cajun and everybody else and Dylan Buck. Everybody comes into this business, they know all these top producers. And you don't have to be like them. And I'm that guy that compares myself because I'm so competitive. But I had to train myself to not think and worry about them and learn how to be myself, because in this business, our product is awesome, but people buy based off of you. I don't know how many times, I just flipped and I hate talking about premium. I hate talking about stats. But in reality is, last week, I had a business owner who had Aflac and pays for his employees. I went in there, did our thing, and he's like, "Hey man, like I don't even care about the product. I already can tell it pays more. I just can tell you're a real dude, and I love that you're from Eau Claire. It's like we're gonna flip over." I was like a $900 policy because he was paying for his employees and he's paying for himself across the board. Right? So people buy based off of you. So be yourself. Everybody else is taken. Right? And I always say, learn how to skill up. You got to learn how to stop working with hourly people and you got to start working with salary. Right? It's been 2 years, since I walked into vape shops, fast food, gas stations, nursing homes, like all this business that it's easy in the moment, but it's really bad for you in the long term. Right? And I've learned that the long way or the hard way. That's another failure I learned. And what I do is I learned how to work on my business, not just in my business. Okay. And so that just means that you're just taking time every single night, every single day, even on the weekends, to grab your tablet, be on whatever website you guys have for resources, looking through, how to skill up in the game, what type of lingo do you use with different businesses? How do I walk into a lawyer office? How do I walk into chiropractic? Chiropractors have lunch and learns, right? Same with dentist offices. Business owners, they make great money, and they're, when you ask them what their backup plan is, regardless if they're there, they're going to be making money. So how do you adapt to that? And what is a common objection and rebuttal to those objections, right? Well, the saying cancer came from, cell farm, right? Came from, cancer, right? Like cancer is one of those things you cannot prepare for. And when you go through, you need all the money you get your hands on, right? And so also, other things that you can learn to start doing when you're skilling up is letter of recommendations. Those are a game changer. Like I use them just like a claim, and letter recommendations usually turn into warm referrals. Okay. So when you're skilling up, it's just 3 simple things, right? You work with salary, salary, not hourly, letter recommendations and referrals. And if you could do those things, like that was probably the biggest hump I had to overcome while going from field director to market director, because I only get, sometimes 2 days in the field, just depending on how many agents I'm training, right? So I learned how to set up appointments for Thursday and Friday and still finish with monster weeks. Okay. And then it's a lot easier to give that gap away when you're new into this and you're still trying to be a top performer. It's hard to give that 2,500 to 5,000 away to that agent. But if you learn how to skill up, it's really easy. You can go anywhere, anytime, and still produce. Okay. And then the mindset I always had coming into this business, and then we can talk about Idaria, is you got to just take it to a whole nother level. Like, you got to understand top performers are not average people. Okay. So I knew coming into this business that I needed to do twice the work to get the same production as some of these top producers. So my goals weren't just to do 6 demos in a day. My goals were to do 8 demos in a day. My first 90 days, I didn't work 8 hours. I worked 9, 10, 10 and a half hours. I worked on the weekends, right? We have a saying, like, yes, you build your business around your life, but in your first 90 days, you should be building your life around your business, because you're building that foundation. Your every house, $1 million house and $100,000 house has the same foundation, right? I didn't do 25 contacts. I did 30 contacts. I did 35 contacts. I didn't shoot for a 2 out of 3 day. I tried my best. I didn't do it, but I tried and strived for a 3 out of 3 day. That's when I was, maybe pat myself on the back. But a 2 out of 3 day, and you got to be doing that no matter what. Okay. And then also you got to look at, like, just make sure, like I said, you're role playing, you're doing your homework, you're studying claims. Anytime an agent comes and works with me, I have probably all my claims are in my photos. The only photos on my iPad are claims. My iPad's for work and work only. Okay. But I probably have, gosh, if I had to take a shot, maybe 50 to 70 claims. And I kid you not, if you guys ever are close and we're working together or whatever, I know exactly every claim in every place. I read about 4 or 5 claims in a demo. Oh, yeah, we have short term. Awesome. I read a short term claim. I jump right to it. Right. Oh, we're a VA. My husband's VA. He's TRICARE. Boom, right to it. Like, if I'm talking about no lifetime limits in my demo, I'm going to go run to a claim that shows that we've been paying cancer for 9 years. So do you see how this, so being a master of all the little things, because everything we do in this business is a learned skill. Everything. I have no idea what I was doing when I come into this business. The only thing I did is there's a difference between formal education and self-education. So are you willing to do the little things that yield big results? And the little things are, if you got a family, because I'm in this family dynamic now, is, after you put the kid down and the dishes are done and bottles are clean and, you called your agents for the day, are you hopping back on your iPad and self-educating yourself? Are you looking at your claims? Are you studying? Are you making sure you're tip-top sharp so that when you're in the field, you're duplicatable, you're doing the same demo, you're not doing any magic tricks? The best compliment is getting in the field and an agent saying, man, you're doing exactly what I'm doing. You're getting the same no's I get. Because that's what flipped and changed the game for me. When I first started my first 30 days, my field trainer got sick. I couldn't work with him. And I was out there getting no's, thinking, man, Cation ain't getting this many no's. Dylan Buck isn't getting this many no's. And then I went to my first train more, and guess what? I got behind all the top producers, and they're all getting no's. And once I saw that, it was game over, because I knew I was doing the right thing. So just some 3, those are, like, I like to keep things simple. Those are just 3 things that if you could focus on, you could change your business, you could flip your business. I tell everybody, if I can do it, anybody else can do it, man. I'm no one special. I'm just a hard worker. We hire people based off of your personality, and we train skill. It's pretty simple. If you got a great personality, you're going to do very well here. If you got a great work ethic, you're going to do very well here. And that's what I train and tell my people that I'm bringing on.
Let's go, Terrell. This is awesome. Holy smokes! I've got like 8 pages of notes over here, my man. This is awesome. I'm going to leave it up, guys. Any questions or comments? We have veteran agents, we got new agents, people just now growing their teams. Any questions for Terrell?
Hi, Terrell. This is AB. First of all, thanks for being real. I really respond well to real people and real people throwing out their shit. So thank you. Appreciate it. My question is referencing training. Just curious. If you're training someone, I have both ways. If you're training someone who's local, are you training them Monday to Wednesday out in the field? And if you have someone who's not local, like I sometimes train outside of area, then what's that training look like for you when it's local versus when it's not local? Just curious, what do you find works the best?
Local or not local, I usually stick to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on, how they're doing. I might go Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, just to make sure that they're putting in their, sometimes I make sure they're doing the right activities for me to be sacrificing my time, because I've been in those situations. I always like to tell a story. I had a guy that was 45 minutes late on a Monday and then was an hour late on Tuesday with a dead iPad. And I said, hey, man, have fun. Go buy a charger. I'm out of here. Right. So just remember that, like, when you're setting that expectation, you let them know, like, hey, my time is valuable. Sometimes I'll even tell them how much money I make, so they know, like, hey, I'm really here for you, but only if you're here for yourself too. But we stick to a 3-2-1 rule. AB, I think you said your name was. And what that means is that if they are local, right, I'm going to go train on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then, they're on there by themselves Thursday. And then if they're really struggling on a Thursday, I'm going to go, have them come follow me on a Friday. But 3-2-1 is just 3 days your first week, 2 days your second week, and 1 day your third week. Okay. Now, if they're a ways away, like right now, I'm 6 hours away from home. Sometimes that 3-2-1 isn't possible. But if you're hiring the right people, they know that sometimes you got to make sacrifices and invest back into your business. So if they're really struggling, if you ever see 2-0 days, they got to get behind someone. It doesn't have to be you. It's got to be someone. It has to be someone. You're not killing their momentum. You're not doing anything because they don't got any momentum. And so, like, if you don't have anybody close to them, then they need to come get behind you, or you guys at least need to go find the middle ground. Like, hey, you're driving 3 hours, I'm driving 3 hours. We're gonna find a town. We gotta get together again. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yep, sure does. And then my second question, and I'll be done. I don't want to hog the time. Second question is with regard to, I know there's a ton of new people on this call, and obviously I work with a ton of new folks. Question is, do you have advice for when they're pushing, and you said something a few minutes ago about, hey, I'm working twice as hard as everyone else when I'm coming in, especially my first 90 days or whatever, fill in the blank. And you, in your mind, you're like, well, I'm pushing for 3 out of 3. What's your advice to new people when they're pushing? It's not always a problem that they're not pushing. Sometimes the problem comes into play where they're so critical of themselves and they're so hard on themselves that if they don't get that 3 out of 3 day that they're pushing for, right? Because you're pushing for harder, then it's like that cycle of, well, damn it, I didn't do it, and I'm horrible, and I'm whatever. And then it feeds over into this other stuff. So it's like, I try to strike a balance between, yeah, I want you to push yourself, but please don't kill yourself, like with that double arrow of, hey, I suck. Do you have any, hopefully that made sense. Do you have any advice for new people that are trying to push, but then when they don't get their push, like the higher standards that they're setting for themselves, they kind of go in this downward spiral? Advice for that.
Yeah, just got to fill up their emotional gas tank, right? Like, it's different. That emotional tank is different for other people. Some people can go out and get kicked in the face with no's all day and they'll be fine. And then some people are, laser focused on their activity and their production. And so it's the same thing, same philosophy, but you got to make sure that they have the right mindset of, as long as you're putting in the right activity, it will come. And the learning curve clicks at different times for people. And we talk about that in our interview process. Tyler Grinder, how long did it take for him to be successful here? But stick and stay and make it pay, right? You just got to keep on praising them every single day. Praise them, call them. You got to cast a vision for them on what it's going to look like and how that is going to pay off, and just not focus on what's happening right now, but what you're laying for the future, right? But also, you should be having them reading if they're in their first 90 days. Number one thing I do and all my trainers do is I buy Go for No's books. I have like 10 at a time in my office, and the first day I just hand it to the agent, and I just have them read this book. It changes your mindset on no's. I'm sure all of you guys have read it or listened to it, because we did bring on a guest speaker for it. But if you have it and you don't do something like that, you just want to get them to learn how to change the mindset around the productivity they're putting in, and the value of a no. How much does a no cost? If that makes sense.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks, Terrell.
Yep.
The only other thing I would have is if you don't mind, if you're open to it, if you could put your contact info somehow, or I guess Kyle has it, if you're open to anybody reaching out, that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Terrell, hey, it's Brandy. I hope you and the family are doing good. I see that pretty smile.
What's up, Brandy?
Hey, so new market directors. We have a lot of new market directors. We have a lot of people that are going to be hitting market director. What would be just your best advice for just the balance of being in the field and obviously your recruiting? Looking back at when you were a market director, what would be some of the best advice that you would give to those wanting to be a market director, and those that are market directors, finding that good balance?
Yeah. You just got to get into the right routine and time management. So like I tell people, the hardest part that if I looked back, because it's 2.5 years in, and there's been a lot of ups, there's been a lot of downs, and I remember going from field director to market, is like, you got to be a master of your time. You got to be time management. You got to have a set schedule. You got to know your calendar so you don't go crazy. If you're I'm not sure where you guys are at in your business, if your leader is still doing your interviews, or if you're starting to do your own interviews, and things like that. You just gotta get into the schedule. For like me, if I wasn't training, like my week would look like, I'm always in the field, but I always had a cutoff for family time. So like my family time when I walk through the door, right, starts at like 6:30, and then I won't think about work until about 8:30. And if I had late interviews, I'd schedule it, anytime from 8 and after, so that I could be present with people, because that was tough. Like I won't lie, transitioning, like I was getting lost into the business a little bit, and I wasn't being my at home in the moment, because you can be on Voxer, you can be texting your people. Man, if you're really training, you got to get those phone calls in. And so just set that expectation with your people too. Hey, this time I will only respond texts, and I will call you back after this, right? Or set a time on, hey, you guys know that I got a family. Don't call me after 7:30. It's dinner time and the bedtime. But I think that would probably be the biggest thing, is just learning how to have that conversation with the spouse, and like, what can you do and what shouldn't you be doing at night when you're supposed to be with your family? Because again, we don't want people to get lost and be like, man, everybody's telling me that this business is supposed to be flexible, and I'm supposed to be able, to be able to be with my family, and it's just not being that right now. But it does change for sure.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah, of course.
Bro, I had a question. This is Katie Beards. Thank you for speaking with us today. We have a lot of new agents here, and you sold so much your first year. So can you kind of paint what your first year looked like activity-wise? Like, did you just talk to like 80 people a day? Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I remember Aaron Scope. So I put the blinders on because I was just like, man, I got to get to 100. Like someone told me in sales school, like, dude, you got to get to 100 demos as fast as possible. I'm like, I'm on it. Like, what do I got to do? And I used to go park at these strip malls because I knew I could get out of my car and I have to get back in for like 3 hours. Like I could just go business. That is great for getting to 100 demos. Don't take that the wrong way if that's not how you train or whatever. Obviously, like I said, we already talked about how to skill up, and I've learned from that. Not great business, but it's just high activity and skill development. So like my first year is, I didn't take any vacations besides the ones that we already had, because 4 vacations, come on now. I come from maybe 1 vacation every 2 years. And so, I was just like, I used to work 9 to 10 hours. Okay. And I used to get there was times on train wars, I was doing like 60 contacts. Remember Aaron Soap? I didn't even know who he was. He called me. He's like, bro, like because sales rabbit, right? This the leaderboard. He's like, you did 60 contacts today? I'm like, what do you mean? I thought that's normal. Like, you know what I mean? So I just remember like the 2 only things I focus on for 100 days. Keep things really simple for yourself. Keep it simple. It's high activity and skill development. Go put in the work in the field, right? Go get through all of the no's and then go home and skill up. We'll get on your website, do your homework, read your claims, look at all of the objections you got for the day and put it on your trainer, right? Like if you keep on getting that spouse objection, you call your trainer and put him on the spot and say, yeah, I need to talk to my wife. I can't make a decision today, and make them record or send a Voxer how to handle that. Like I'm working with my gal. She's a rock star, Brittany Davis. And she's been struggling with the spouse, and she's been struggling with her rebuttals and transition to close. And her first demo was a spouse objection. Her second demo was a spouse objection. And we were riding to the next business, and I just started role playing with her. And then we went and got another demo, and it was a spouse objection just like that. She did it word for word. I said, I love that you're so coachable, right? Hey, it's not bring your spouse to work day. We're just here today. We're going to show you how to get yourself and your income covered, just like we did for blah, 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 blah already today. So, and then if you want to move your coverage left out, so it's just those simple things. Hopefully that answers your question, Katie.
I love that it's not bring your spouse to work day. That's hilarious. Thank you.
Yeah.
Terrell, what's up, brother? Brad Phillips here. Man, a lot of newer agents have a hard time understanding how powerful testimonials are. One of the things that you mentioned was, having a testimonial in your pocket for any objection that you possibly get. And of course, we talk about this shit all the time. But man, can you just, I don't know, give some words of wisdom on how high or on how much your closing percentage changed once you learned how to use testimonials the right way and having a testimonial in your pocket for any given situation.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Again, first 100 demos, keep things super simple. Your agent should only be reading, 1 to 2 or maybe 3 testimonials. You don't want to confuse them. You just want to get them to be consistent, right? And being able to know a claim without even, you should be able to read the claim without looking at it. And you should be able to put emotion into that claim without looking at it. If you're not changing your tone, you're not doing it right. And if they're reading it, you're totally doing it wrong. But you got to bring emotion into that claim. And the only way you could do that is practice, right? So my closing percentage, because I was doing so many high contacts and demos, was probably below average because I was doing more hours and more contacts and still getting average demos. I think David has our first year or our first 3 month statistics screenshots, and he uses it in interviews, and I love that. But I had like a 20% closing whatever. And then if you go look at Q3 and Q4, I was at like a 70% closing rate, right? I sit down with 1 to 2 people every single time because your approach, you even can use a claim, right? Like business owner, there's a business owner claim that says, gosh, we have policies just like this, right? But that return of premium is like no other, right? If I die or my wife passes away, my kids get all of the premiums back. Most companies will keep, right? So you can read that in an approach to a business owner and then drop some 3D names, and now you're in a sit down. Versus if you're just doing your approach and maybe you don't know your claims as much, you're just going to get the common objection and you're not going to be able to get that sit down. And being able to read, like, okay, here's 4 places you can start reading claims. Your approach, okay, going through your benefits. I always read one when I say no lifetime limits. I always read a claim that says no lifetime limits. So I'm reading a claim and we've been paying them for, I don't know, 5 years to 10 years. Then I read a claim in the return of premium. Anytime I say option 1 is we give 100% of your money back, I'll read a local claim. Just go to your thing, go look at a money back claim in South Carolina and read it and show them where it's at. Okay. And then another place you can read a claim is in your indirect costs on the insurance limitations. If you guys have seen this claim, it's called thanks for being there, help pay my bills. One of our healthcare providers, Blue Cross Blue Shield, paid $800 on a $40,000 bill, right? So an example of how to read that is, so you got living expenses, the mailman shows up, rain, sleet, or snow. And then would you agree health insurance has limitations? Yep, 100%. Co-payments, what's your deductible? Yep. Heaven forbid it's cancer, medications, right? And then if you're in a hospital for 6 months, don't think that, they're going to pay for all of that, right? You're going to get that EOB in the mail, right? Just like, and then you read that claim that goes right along with your insurance limitations. There's 4 easy ways to read a claim.
Terrell, I mean, obviously, and of course, we scream this stuff from the mountaintops, all day, every day. But man, I mean, how much of a difference? I mean, obviously, you took the time, like all of us top performers do, to learn those claims, to read them, and reading them like you're the one who wrote it, right? A lot of people don't understand like how much of a difference it makes to read these claims the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Reading them like, you're the one that had to deal with it, like you're the one who wrote it. But man, I mean, you sold about $482,000 in premium in your first year. Cleared over, $200K your first 12 months in this business. And this is a kind of a rhetorical question, but do you regret at all how much time, energy, and effort you put in your first 12 months in this business?
No, man. I'm working for this job goes from a job to a career, right? Like
just like that. Like that.
100%. No, I mean, after 12 months, check this, after my 12-month mark, we went to Costa Rica, got married in February, all cash wedding. 1 month later, went to Jamaica, had a baby moon before our kid was here, had our kid, wife doesn't work, we have a $500,000 rental house downtown Minneapolis. First time I saw it in a year was like a week ago, going to get my snowblower and mower because now I don't live in an apartment anymore. I live in a house again. And just all these things, I got an organization, a team. I got leaders, that believe in me. So it's just the hard ride over the easy, or the hard ride over the easy wrong. Like it's all worth it. 100%. It's all worth it. Numbers start to get stupid in PlayStation. It's all real for sure.
Well, I know. Well, Terrell, I appreciate the hell out of you, man. I appreciate you being on the call with us this morning.
Yes, I do have to jump on another one. I appreciate y'all and have a great day. Good to see all of you guys, and we'll see you very soon.
Thanks, Terrell.
See you later, Jimmy.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Just quick recap. Holy smokes, that was awesome. He's going to have a massive year. I'm excited to see what him and Ignite Financial does this year. So many notes. Guys, reread your notes right now. Take 7 minutes and reread the notes that you just have. So I literally have several things. I'm going to recap. And this is awesome. Like everything that he taught on, he is doing it in the field. Like he is literally doing all the things. He walks the walk. And that's where success comes from. There is unfortunately no shortcuts in this business. You must take the stairs and they're one step at a time. There is no elevator for success here, right? So making sure you're doing all the right activities, and this career becomes really fun. It's going to start off as a job, then it becomes a career, then it becomes a business, and then becomes a mission. But it does start off as a job. So just like it did for him whenever he first started here. So, all right, guys, let's go out there. Today's the best day of the week, Thirsty Thursday, Thankful Thursday. Let's go out there, do your dead level best. Let God do the rest. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning on Friday. Maria Klusenek is going to have a part for you guys. And just a quick recap, you guys got an email from Nicole yesterday. We're actually having another special incentive going on right now for the Atlanta Braves. So the top 4 producers for the next 5 weeks, this week is week 1. So we got 8 tickets. So the top 4 producers get to go to it, and they can bring a +1. So there's a Braves game. I think it's like April 11th, I think is what the flyer says. But on April 11th is a Braves game, which we just became the insurance company for them. That's pretty cool. So the top 4 producers and just personal sales only for the next 5 weeks get to go to the Braves game for free, and they can bring a +1. So it's going to be awesome. And I think a couple people from the home office will be there, possibly Ken Matson, Seamus Fitzpatrick, maybe one others. So you'll be able to meet them as well. But anyways, guys, have a great day. Let's go out there and make it happen.
For those of you who don't know who Ken Matson is, if you're a newer agent, he's the CEO of the company. And it's always a pleasure hanging out with Ken.
Yep. It definitely is. All right, guys, let's go out there and be safe, drive safe on the road today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Thanks, Kyle.